Alright, this example here is to really show the if statement by showing you how you could hide columns while you're entering data. Apparently one of my students was working at TSTD. I think he's still there, and he had some issues with working with a spreadsheet that is extremely long. Right? So let me just move this select button over here because I'll be hiding some other columns. Let me move it here. I don't want it at all in the E column because I will be working in the E column. What I did too as well, I went to sheet 2 and I typed my category dog, cats and fish, and I saved it as animals. Right? Just type it there and you save it as animals. Now I want the list to develop here, so I can actually select from list. So I will go to sheet 2. Right? Make sure that my list is there. Now I'm going to select the area that I want my list to be attached to. Go to data. Choose the option data validation. Right? The data validation dialog box would come up, and I will select list. And from list, I will select my source, which would be equal to, on my sheet 2, animal, because that's the name that I name my list as animal. Click close, click OK, and there's my list box right here showing up. Voila, dog, cats and fish. I'm sure this is the first time that many of you all is really seeing this thing taking place. Of course, yours truly, who is teaching this course. But let's move on. We don't have any time to beat up our chest at this point in time. Let's assign this button to a macro. But before we do that, I go Alt F11 and write some code. And what we want to do basically is to hide these columns. Let me show you an example. Right? You want to be able to hide these columns here when we're not working in them. Right? You want to be able to hide these columns when we're not working in them. Alright? So we go into our Visual Basic editor, and just to begin again, what we want to do is that we are assuming that we have a very long worksheet and we only want to display the columns that we want to work on. You know, sometimes there's work on worksheets and you have names here and over here that scroll out of the window, and you have to try to match it up. We're going to show you how to deal with that. So let's go to our Visual Basic editor again, and we'll insert a module. Right, module insert, and we'll call this subroutine sub oval click. I just like to call it oval because we want to. Yeah, you can put click if you want, but I will prefer if you don't just use click. Put something, you know. Right, because you want to hide or auto hide, whatever the case may be. All right, let us assign a variable first, and the first variable I will want to probably assign is that animal, since that was declared, because that's the name of the list anyway. So we'll name the list animal, and we cannot use integer because if you realize in the list there are characters, so we will assign this as string. That's the first thing we will do. Alright, now we will take this animal and we'll want to assign this animal to the cell reference, right, which is this reference here we using here. So this is what, 3, 2. So let me assign animal to that reference, and by now we doing Visual Basic for applications. You're supposed to know how to type up that command, which is easily cells 3, 2, right, dot value, and that is it. So we know that. Okay, 3, 2 dot value. Right, and what we want to do there, I'm going to try something out of the limb here. I never really tried this just as it is, but I'm going to try it using the columns format. I could have used range instead, but I'll introduce all it to the columns. And the columns will be what we want to hide. Let me double check it here. I'll want to hide columns E to J. Right? E to J. Alright, so let me do this first. Hide columns E. And let's put E to J when I click that right? Dot hidden, and I'll equal this to true, because I want to be able, when we're not working in that column, if it's a blank space in not there, nothing is selected, we want that to still be available. Right, let me see what I'm missing here in this separator here. Right, my bad, because the strings we're dealing with. I don't know why Rishma didn't tell me that had an error there. Right, so then we do something on this animal now. If animal, and again we're going through this thing here, it may not work. We're going to try something, but at the end of the day we work in an environment where we have to make it work. So dog is my first option on my list, and I would want this particular worksheet to hide all the other worksheets to hide, but this one I don't want this to hide. So I'm going to set that as false, because I want to work with dog. So I will try that column again, formula, right, which I do not know, which is the dog column. The dog column is with E and F, right? So we don't want that to hide, but every other thing must hide. Right, Visual Basic for application, E, right, and F, and we will say dot hidden, I don't know why this didn't come up, hidden, equal to false. Everything else would hide. Right? And if. Right, let me just write a couple of these statements again. I'm not going to use no nested if. I'm going hardball at it. And I'll change this to cats. Change this to fish. And that's how I get the column numbers now. EF. This will be GH and IJ, right? GH and IJ. Right. Let's double check to make sure nothing wrong with this code. And the only thing we will know if something wrong with the code is if we try it out. Right? All ready to try it out? Let me try it out. So we assign this button again to the macro. Oval click, I call it. Click away. Select dog. Voila. So it work. Select cat. Right. Select fish. Willy. And you just click out of here. Ooh, everything hide. Right, so let's amend this code a little bit. False. So we will put that as true, because we want everything to show. Right? And by the time we click on this, we get back everything. Nice, eh? Cool?